on the property, I think.
Yeah, this is the trail that almost killed me this morning.
Oh, yeah, this is the beginning of our prayer trail, which actually wraps around the whole property, and it has stations for people to stop and pray and reflect, and this is kind of the first portion of it.
I'm glad you wore red today. It's kind of like following Little Red Riding Hood through the forest.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, how pretty.
Yeah. So this is the cabin that was made originally without any metal pieces, as far as screws or nails. You can actually look the detail here, and you can see how they carved out holes and then made wood pieces to fit in the holes to put things together, because this is all wood here.
That's amazing.
And it opens up to some cubby storage space there, and all around here some of our ladders. So there's a queen bed up here.
All right.
This is the room that has most of the beds in it. There's a bed upstairs here, which is a double, and then a twin here. There's storage all along this. This is a redwood slab from a rather large tree, I would guess. Storage under here. All of this is hand-hewn wood. This goes actually outside to our wood bin, which is really cool, so people don't have to go outside when it's raining. They can access wood through there. Well, this is a pretty cool closet. Also all hand done. The wood likes to squeak. And then back. It's all situated perfectly. So back in here would be the shower area.
And originally it was built with a shower?
Yes, it was actually a much more decorative shower, and then it was before we got the property. It was covered over, and now it's not so pretty, but it has some of the best views. We rebuilt the decks a couple years ago. I lived in this cabin for 2 months before we had like permanent girls housing. We used to like move around depending on rentals. And this cabin stays pretty cold. It's not insulated. It's kind of hard to heat. And so I would sleep up there because it was the warmest part of the house, because the wood stove was in here, and it was heat rises, and it's quite a unique space. I'm short, but my feet would touch that banister thing. Yeah, it's a small space, but it's fun. It was fun living in here.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of, wait, do I step on this or do I step on the bed?
You can do either. Both are stable.
Okay. My kid. How pretty. But you're right, it's not insulated. I'm seeing there's spots that have little cracks.
Yeah. And we slowly are working to fill things in, but it wasn't, I wish I knew what went through the hippies' heads when they lived here and built these places, because I think originally, my understanding from the people I've met who lived here before, they they built most of these cabins because winter was coming and their rains were coming, and they were never meant, not sure about this one in particular, but most of them were never meant to be lived in for 20, 30 years. It was just, oh, the rains are coming, and we live on the coast and it's cold and we're naked.
Right? The nudity thing.
And, which we have a man that lives on the coast now, and he helped build this cabin and a number of the other cabins, and he was one of the naked hippies who lived here. And I asked him one time, I was like, why nakedness? I mean, it was cold here even then. Like, why? And he's like, we weren't doing it because we were comfortable. We were doing it to make a statement. And it was a political, religious, sociological statement we were making, and we were sticking to what we believed. And I was like, okay, well, I'm all for statements, but that was a rather uncomfortable one.
I have been so surprised by how cold it is here.
Yeah. And this is kind of like, today is one of our, well, actually today is cold, but even though the sun's out, today is cold, but we stay chilly, like high 60s. 70s is a hot day for us year round. Our summer is actually very cold. We get fog. September is usually our nicest month. And it rains many months out of the year when we're having a good season. California's been in a drought for a long time.
Yeah.
So we actually had some very dry winters, which were concerning for us. But last winter was very rainy, and so far the rains have started early this year. So
it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. We're hoping it continues all through the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very cold, and I can't imagine being naked here.
The wet just goes right through your bones.
Yes.
And these buildings, like the foam ones, it felt much warmer and drier than this feels. You walk in this and you wonder if it's a little colder inside than it is outside.
Yes. And sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. Especially the ones that are shaded, that don't get the direct sunlight, because they would never warm up if we didn't build fire.
Yeah.
And yeah, we battle moisture here in almost every cabin.
Yeah, the matches were wet. I was like, I am a really good fire starter, and I'm just going to keep that in my brain while I'm trying to get this match to light.
Yeah. Yes. It's unique.
But it's an experience.
It is.
And it doesn't smell like mold or anything. It's not like it's like a moldy building.
Yeah.
It's just a damp,
It's damp.
chilly building.
Yeah. Sugar, salt, things like that clump here. We have to
Really?
work to keep them from clumping.
How interesting. Things you would never know. In our area, it is so dry. It's like LA or something. Everything is very dry where we're from.
And that's how it was growing up for me. It's a totally new experience to deal with mold and things clumping together and towels not drying. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right?
I was like, of course towels dry when you hang them up. Apparently not.
No, you just kind of try to slick the moisture off with the towel.
Yes. Yeah. So.
But it makes me feel like I'm in the little cabin with the 7 dwarfs. When you look at all the curves and the little half doors and the curly cues.
Yeah, the people who built these cabins purposefully defied functionality in terms of making things square, and they wanted it to be unique. They wanted it to be artistry. Some of our cabins have mosaics in the showers that were handcrafted because they're like, why not make it beautiful and functional? And it's very different from anywhere I've ever been. And we have one cabin where all the windows are at angles because they didn't want them. They were square windows, but they didn't want them to be square, so they tilted them over so they're like diamonds instead. And most places don't have things that are level because they didn't want things to just be normal.
They wanted it to be a living piece of art.
Yeah. They did, very much so. Which requires a ladder.
Right. I don't know why I picked all these little buildings with lofts that I wanted to be interested in, because I do not do heights.
Yeah.
And I think they're fantastic for grown-ups, but we have yet to not have a child fall off the ladder anytime we're in a tiny house with a ladder.
Yeah. It's definitely a risk that I don't really necessarily know, aside from being extremely extra cautious and vigilant and having tons of like gates and things. I don't know how we would keep
How
that.
to safety proof them.
Yeah, we try to promote ourselves as a child-friendly property. Of course, this is like, I mean, with space to run and all this stuff, it's heaven for children. But it's a hassle for parents, I will admit that, because we do have lofts and ladders and paths that kind of slither along. So we do ask people to be very careful. And especially if they have very small children, we want them to be careful.
Because, I mean, you got some of these where you got like the deck.
Yeah.
Does this open?
Yes.
Should I try to look out of it?
We should go out. Oh, well, this is cool. I forgot about that.
That's even better. What I love about it is it's beautiful, but I was actually a little nervous about trying to get out on the deck because I'm like, that's a bit of a drop.
Yes. Yeah. This is probably our most stable deck because we just rebuilt it. I think our plan is to slowly rebuild and bolster all of the decks so that
because it's so wet here, the wood just deteriorates.
Yes. And redwood is a soft wood, and so when it's made with redwood, it actually deteriorates faster than if we did a hardwood.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So my daughter came out this morning and was trying to get her shoes on, and she's like, Mom, somebody pooped in my shoe.
Would she find a banana slug? I was just thinking about that. The banana slugs around here, and they're loving that we just had rain. They're like multiplying. But yes, we have them everywhere, and they freak people out, and they climb up things. My office window, I can tell when they've been active overnight because I'll open my curtains in the morning and there'll be like all these tracks all over the window, and it's because the slugs were
happy
and
they were
traveling.
Happy.
Very slowly, I'm sure, but they were traveling.
It is quite the surprise.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the witch with the little wood stove that she wants to push children into with this cabin.
Yeah.